Good afternoon, everyone. The time is 3:30. I'm going to call the Capital Improvement Committee meeting to order. Will all please rise, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Flag is to my right.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. As always, the meeting has been posted on the official town website, www.templetonma.gov. We have posted this well in advance of the 48 hours required for the open meeting law requirements. And we do reserve the right to make some slight modifications and changes to the agenda as we move along. That said, I am going to move that we do make a change. There is the sixth item down, elect temporary chair for fire and EMS presentations. I would entertain a motion from a member of the committee to enter that. Yes.
Second.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second for a temporary chair. This is due to a number of disclosures I have filed due to both being a town employee on the fire department and serving in the elected position as a select board member. So the motion is on the table and has been seconded. Does anybody have interest in serving as a temporary or interim chair in my absence?
Not me.
I can do that.
I'm good for that.
Thank you, Mr. Smith, for stepping forward. Anybody else? And it doesn't sound like any of the rest of the committee is interested. There's no further discussions. I'll call for a roll call vote. All those in favor of Mr. Smith as the interim chair signify by saying aye. Mr. Graves?
Aye.
Mr. Bartolomeo?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Ms. Richardson?
Aye.
Did I get it right?
Yes.
Thank you. And I will abstain. Okay, approval of the meeting minutes of our 11/8/2021. Draft has been sent out to everyone. Has anybody had a chance to review them? Any errors, omissions, or needs for adjustment?
Mr. Chair, I would, when we make the motion, make the adjustment that instead of Toth move to approve the meeting minutes of 11/2/21, that it says Smith move to approve the meeting minutes of 11/2/21, because that is what actually happened. So I
Okay,
just wanted to clarify that.
okay. Good catch, thank you. This is why we review them prior to the meetings. Any other discussions on the minutes? I would entertain a motion with the correction as presented, called out by Mr. Graves.
So moved.
Second, do I hear a second? Okay, motion made and seconded. Any further discussions? Any further discussions? Hearing none, I will call for the roll call vote. Mr. Graves?
Aye.
Ms. Bartolomeo?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Richardson?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you for that. Just before we began the meeting, as everybody was coming in and attending and gathering, Chief Dickey spoke with me quietly and asked if possible if we could rearrange the schedule. He's got some ongoing inspections and some liquor license inspections that he does need to attend to tonight. I don't have an issue with that. Does any other member of the committee have a challenge? Anybody be offended if we rearrange that order?
Yeah.
Like the red pen? Just kidding.
Just give me the list.
I don't believe we need to take a vote for just rearranging the orders. So, Chief Dickey, we will give you the floor and the hot seat, sir.
Mr. Toth, are you allowed to recuse yourself?
I am going to recuse myself, which is why we elected an interim chair, and I will step out of the room for this portion of the meeting. Someone just let me know when they're done, and I will re-enter the discussion either. No, I can only go up or down on bottoms and things of
How far down
budgetary
is it?
discussions, any deliberations.
After Driscoll? Went from the bottom of the pile to the top. I hope you know that.
Do appreciate it, even with the troublemakers in the back of the room. Good evening, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. How are you?
Good.
I'm not sure, along with the sheets that were requested, I did send an Excel spreadsheet. I don't know if that was in the packet or not. It's just kind of an overview of the bigger ticket items in my department that I look at year to year for capital, on where it comes up and its age and so forth like that, on top of just a request for this year. You want me to go through everything item by item, or do you just want to ask questions?
Why don't you just go down the sheets that you submitted and we can kind of go through those.
So, top of the list is the SCBA's, my self-contained breathing apparatus. This would be year 3 of a 3-year plan to purchase all the units that we need. So this would be the last one. The past 2 years, the light and water department has been nice enough to pay for those units for us. And working with Adam, we've already reached out to them as well to see if that would be available for next year. It's too early in their year to know what their funds are going to be for next year and what they can do. So they do have the request, but we do not have an answer yet on that. But so we started out a few years ago needing 28 units. We are down to the last 8 to purchase at $7,000 each for a total of $56,000 next year. The thing to remember about this, and actually all my items, is that these are current prices today. I cannot, like probably everybody else, get anybody to tell me they can hold the price for 8 months until when we'd be looking to purchase this next July. So that is, if I were to buy those right now, that's the pricing for right now. Yes, CBA.
So how many do you have on hand?
We have 28 SCBA's on the fire department, and these would be the last 8 to replace.
How many men do you have at a fire?
We are dictated by NFPA to have so many on each truck. It's not per man on the department, it's
Just a,
actually per apparatus.
Will this still give you the 28, but could you be trading in some?
We'll be trading in the last 8, so this 8 would keep us at
So
the
to stay at
28.
28.
Yes. And that 28 is what we need for our trucks. That does not leave me a spare one if one breaks to send it in for repair. The only realistic one that is a spare at that point in time is there is one in my car that we can filter in if needed, because so.
Is that one bottle price or is that?
There is no bottles
No
included
bottles,
with this
just
price. We've been running our bottles through before this period to purchase, so these don't come with the bottles. All our bottles are in good working order at this point in time. We were looking at bottles as well. That $7,000 price would be closer to $10,000 each.
so how long is the livelihood of these things?
So they're good for roughly 20 years. They're 15 years that the manufacturer says they're good for, and then you can normally get parts for about another 5 years. So after that for them. So by the time the 15-year mark hits, you're looking to start replacing them either piecemeal like we did, so they're not bought.
Yeah.
You know, we looked at this originally 3 years ago to get 28 of them all in one whack, and working with Carter, this was the plan to go little by little.
Yeah.
So it doesn't hit all in 1 year.
Makes sense.
We got any more questions on the SCBs?
All right, next on the list is a forestry truck.
I got one for you. It's in the garage. Put on the old side, really work.
So our forestry two is currently 43 years old. It was not designed as a forestry truck. It is a pickup truck that's been converted twice in its years with us to do the job it's doing now. It's done the job quite well for us for the 43 years. The last time I had it in the shop for brakes and a radiator, I was told by the repair company that if the clutch goes, that it won't be worth fixing the truck. It's a manual transmission and they don't know if they can get me a clutch for that truck anymore, or if if it would actually be worth it at that point in time to do it. So, but the truck we have now is, like I said, it's a pickup truck. It's a Chevy, 43 years old, that we retrofitted twice to do the job now. The truck I'm looking at getting would be a brand new truck that is designed to be a forestry truck, meets NFPA requirements for a forestry wildland truck. Right now, I updated the pricing on it through a couple of different salesmen in the 165. I think I'd be able to hold that price through next year. I asked them to kind of look at some increases and what they thought they would be. And that budget would be tight, but I think it would make it.
How often do you use it?
So right now, that.
Can't even get in the woods anymore. Everything's all barred off.
So right now, that forestry truck goes out almost every day. It's not just a forestry truck. We do not have a utility truck in the fire department, which we'll be getting up to next. I don't have a truck for my people that go out and do inspections. So they take either an ambulance or they take the forestry truck to do the work. So this truck, when we transitioned from being a call department to a full-time department, its use has gone up 100-fold. It's out all the time.
Doesn't make a lot of sense to be using a forestry truck to be doing inspections.
You're correct. And I've been asking for a utility truck or an inspection vehicle for 4 years as I've been chief. So
Good luck with that.
we're looking at running like a forestry truck at $165,000, or they're running an ambulance at almost $300,000 running, doing inspections.
That's nuts.
So.
Now, would you look into doing at least a purchase on this? I know a lot of these larger departments that price vehicles, a lot of the lease purchase would be a lot easier for the town to
I would
palatable.
get anything that would help me get the truck in the garage, lease to purchase outright, whatever we had to do.
But how do you even get in the woods? All of the state forests, all the woods up by me, they're all blocked off.
We have we have the ability to get in the woods when we have to.
Yeah.
And it's not just, this truck is not just for going in the woods. It's off-road, but
That's what I mean. I
we
mean,
go in the field, we go in fields with it. We go behind people's homes. It goes everywhere.
All right. So you want that and a utility truck?
Well, again, I have an Excel spreadsheet that I put in with my package. It shows everything. And every department in the town has aging equipment.
No, I know that.
But Carter and I were working with a plan, and I've been trying to move that forward with Adam. And the plan working with Carter in the beginning was when the new engine we bought in 2019 became paid off, that we'd be able to, hopefully, the money would still be there and available, that we'd be able to buy a new engine, because our other engines are 20+ years old. So really looking, at a few years from now, when that engine 3 is paid off, I would rather try to plan to get a forestry truck when we're not looking at a major piece of equipment like that, that could be $500,000.
Yeah.
I am showing you, I am showing you the things
Yeah, I
that
know.
are my priorities in the department. I'm not saying I want every, I would love to have everything on the list, Bob, everybody would love to have everything on the list, the money's not there.
That's right.
I'm just trying to show you the needs of the department, where we stand.
Need revenue.
Any more questions on the forestry truck?
So the next one on the truck on the list is a little better news, it's the utility truck. So right now, we have a utility truck that's not in service, we're trying to get in service, that is a 37 years old. We got it from the state. It's an old military truck. And I have members that have been donating time to try to get this truck so that we can get it on the road and use it as a utility truck, but it is still 37 years old. So the next truck on the list is the utility truck. And right now I have that budgeted at $70,000. The good news on this truck is working with Adam and Senator Goby office that we are pretty sure we have, as long as Governor Baker signs the bill on his desk, that we have $70,000 earmarked for this truck with the state through state spending. So if the governor signs that package and it makes it through his desk complete, there is that money earmarked for our truck, for this utility truck.
Make sure it's
So-
what you want.
So right now,
Will last you another 500 years.
I agree. Right now, like I said, we don't have a utility truck. We don't have a pickup truck. I've had to borrow trucks a few times from highway department when we needed to use a truck. And if we are at fires and we need to pick up our hose and our equipment, my actual employees are using their personal vehicles to pick up fire department equipment and bring them back and forth. So this is, actually, it's not a replacement. It is a new vehicle to the fleet.
More questions on the utility truck?
The next item on the list is security station upgrades. This is something that I've been requesting for a few years now. When the ambulance went from BLS to ALS, one of the things the chief at the time did was put a security system in that puts cameras on our medications, our ambulance equipment and so forth like that. It was to help with the state with the processing, showing that we're taking security seriously. That system has not been updated since then. We don't have enough cameras. It's an old system that is tough to use. I have a $30,000 price tag on it. I've had two companies in the past couple of years come in and look, but nobody will give me paperwork. No, a good estimate on it because of the fact that we didn't have the money
This is Evelyn Fire.
ready to
Ambulance
use.
requested number 70 Hubbardston Road, 91-year-old male party, change in his mental status, requesting transport to ER.
So that is an estimate from two places, but I don't have paperwork to back that up.
70 Hubbardston Road.
But the system that I'm looking to put in would secure the doors from using combination locks from people getting in and out of our stations to actually key fob, so I know who comes in and out of the stations, have cameras in all the areas that they need it in, recorded properly.
Go to dispatch too, so she knows.
My actual plan would be to work with the police department and dispatch so that dispatch would be able to access my doors, lock them or unlock them, see all the cameras and work at them. Gardner Fire just did a very similar project with their station.
0457.
Questions on the security systems?
0457.
Next item is a tanker truck. Our current tanker is a 1989, it's 32 years old. does not meet NFPA regulations anymore for a tanker truck. Again, I'm showing you what my department needs. I've been working with the vendor right now and trying to design a tanker truck that would actually fit into Templeton Center Fire Station and hopefully possibly take the place of 2 trucks. 1 truck in place of 2. Don't know if that we can do that yet, but that's what we're working on. I have this in front of you, not because I expect to see this funded this year, but with grants and everything out there, you know, I want to be able to say I did bring this through capital planning, so that way if I actually find a grant and get one through, I can save a step and say that it came through this committee.
You know, if you're talking about it fitting through the doors, if we had planned better, we could have had a public safety part with you and the fire department and, you know, you and the police department. And we wouldn't, you know.
I agree, but that's water over the bridge.
Yeah, I
We
know,
don't
but
have it.
don't, I wouldn't, I would think that would be right on the top of things once we get on our, if we ever get on our feet.
So the last item that I presented forward to you is a PPE gear dryer. Through COVID spending, we were able to get it set up down at our headquarters in Baldwinville, the new gear washer and gear dryer. The gear dryer we have in Baldwinville, we do not have a gear dryer up at Templeton Center. So any of those members that would have to be washing the gear would have to take it down to the other side of town to dry it. So this would put a gear washer. We already have we have a gear washer at Templeton Center Station. We do not have a dryer. So this would put a dryer up there to cut down on drying time, so the gear would be available faster.
Can you get any of the stuff through that money that that's gonna be available? I don't even know what it's-
The opera funds,
Yeah.
some of it's possible, some of it's not. I don't know. I'm still working on those
You
things.
don't, I'd throw it at them anyway, you never know, because it's really meant for the community.
Yep, it is. And like I said,
That would
the
make
initial
it
COVID, the initial COVID funds that we got did pay for a gear extractor and a dryer already.
Because if you don't apply, you're not gonna get anything,
I understand that.
you know? It's worth taking, if you don't shoot the basket, you ain't gonna win.
Yeah, and again, this is meets capital requirements. It's 10,000 or more, and I have to bring it through here. So I am working on funding means, but
Worth a shot though. You know,
Mhm.
probably have more luck there than you're gonna have.
Any more questions on that gear dryer? All right, you want to get any more questions for Chief Dickey while he's? Thank you, Chief. Yeah.
anybody has any other questions, get over to the office.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you, Chief. You want to let
I will.
Tim know if he's sitting out there somewhere? At this time, I entertain a motion to return Tim to check.
Second.
Okay, the roll call.
Move it, or
I was gonna say,
I don't know.
I'll move that.
okay,
Second it.
all right. Justice.
Yes.
Yes.
Welcome back. It's all yours.
Thank you. So moving right along. Next up will be DPW, Mr. Zosik. Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon, everybody.
After,
I'll have your packets. A little bit less information than the last couple of years. On the highway, I added kind of an inventory sheet over pretty much what equipment we have used. When we received it and when it needs to be replaced. So hopefully that's a benefit to you. Down the road. I know they were talking about it last couple of years at everybody's inventory, but we had this ongoing anyway, so.
Yeah, in preparing for this, both you and Chief Vicky had some more product, and that was very helpful, just to kind of put it to the side, and be looking at what we were aligning to. So I thank you for that.
So on the highway side, they have a couple items, one being another 6-wheel dump plow sander truck. Reaching out to the industry, I did go with a cheaper truck. It's a Freightliner. Today's price, like Chief Dickey said, it's subject to increase. It's at $247,366. That includes the plow, the sander, the body, chassis. And it's used 12 months out of the year. And any alternative funding could possibly be any leftovers, maybe from the pilot program that they'll assist us. They can talk to a couple individuals on this already. And then Adam was supposed to reach out to John.
What's it gonna replace?
Another H9, which is a 6-wheel dump truck.
The one that leaks?
Leaks, rusted over the years. 10-wheelers and the 6-wheeler. And a truck we just got rid of. The town's putting about $50,000 into these trucks, trying to keep them going. But Chief Dickey said everything is so old, hard to get parts for. And even today with the newer stuff, we hope to keep everything going and running. If you have a major breakdown, you might not be able to receive that part for some time. The way everything's going, trying to get parts. The goal is to have 5 of these trucks in the future, as I proposed 3 years ago, and get rid of the 10-wheelers. And after this truck, the next 2 6-wheelers will be like a Ford 750 with a 5 to 6 yard body lot and a little bit smaller truck in half the price. This will put us in a comfortable spot for me as far as winter operations and everyday use, as far as having reliable and dependable equipment. Right now, we're still rocketing that halfway point with the trucks. We came back very strong and replacing a lot of stuff, and we're getting there. Thanks to Templeton, they're doing the right thing. But we're not quite there yet. If you want to see the specifications on the truck, I have a 1 page to see.
again, like we had asked, Vicky, was there an issue with the lease to purchase part of it? If that option became available versus doing it all at once, or?
Well, I know Adam's against the lease to purchase, but I think it actually works good for us. It keeps it open, it keeps equipment in rotation. That would have to be,
I know the lease rates are so low right now, even though I know it's a good option for a town. We're trying to replace a lot of equipment
absolutely.
with something that.
and everything's just going up and up in the price. I mean,
Right.
ridiculous.
It'll lock you in, it locks you in on a price, but puts you in on that first year on a lower payment to lock in at the rest of the price. So
Like I said, the next two trucks after this, I can get two for the price of this one. That's where we sit with the bid.
I have no further questions. Anyone else have any further questions for 206 on the truck?
Okay, moving on to the second item, this is just to keep it in the loop of capital planning, the Main Street Bridge. We're in the process of getting a cost estimate to repair that bridge as we speak. So that's gonna be determined on the cost and the funding. We are looking at grants and working with the late water department. And other sources of funding for this.
Now, on these two, I kind of put them together, and Mill Bridge and the Main Street Bridge. I know the ARPA funds that are coming out are usually used for infrastructure. Would these both fall under the infrastructure guideline possibilities for the ARPA funds?
For the water, yes, we just actually recently had a meeting with the engineer and the water department on funding for the water main that's gonna go through it. We haven't determined what avenue we're taking yet, but they are incorporated in this project, and we're hoping to use some of that funding for it.
So I know these two have been kind of on your plate for a couple of years now with
Yeah.
trying to get repairs to it, and if we could fund it through a outside source, it certainly would be helpful to the town.
And new to the program is the Hamlet Mill Bridge. Requesting $400,000 for engineering and repair of the bridge. And that would have to be engineered like we're doing now, and cost estimate and everything else. But this bridge is probably gonna be a cheaper fix than the Main Street Bridge.
Or has that one been flagged or deemed in the status by Mass? DOT?
Last year, the state gave me the option to shut it down, reduce it to one lane, or shut the bridge. Bridge outside wheels. So speaking with MassDOT and the engineer that we hired, we're able to get the material, oak from a lumber company, and they approved us, the department, DPW, to do the repair. And they came out and did several inspections, and that's the bias 3 to 5 years. The next worst case scenario that could happen, it'll get reduced down a long way if that starts failing anymore.
Definitely one of the things we need to be staying on top of. And this is outside the general thoughts and discussions on chapter 90.
Any other questions on? Hamlet Mill? So moving into buildings and grounds. First, one that comes up is the senior center. As you can see, I listed the last couple of years from costs. This year, next year, price of $140,000, but that's figuring and using the $60,000 that's already been approved through articles. It's sitting in the senior center accounts now. And I don't believe you're gonna get any cheaper than that. Gonna start going the other way. Show you some of the pictures. It does have some rot on a couple areas of the roof. Just so people know, that's not a new roof when they put it together. It's the original roof when they got those 6 units. The only thing new on it is the joints are new. And it's so bad up there, when you walk, it just pops the buttons through the metal roof. And then I have to call somebody in to fix the leaks. Kind of went at this backwards. They should have done a roof first.
Sure.
And now water leaks are damaging the interior ceiling tiles and floors. So it should be a good top priority to get that done.
We have 4 feet of heavy wet snow. Is it gonna hold up?
If it stays freezing, yeah, it'll hold up. The way that the rot was in between some of the beams and the fiberboard. It's not gonna come crashing down.
It's amazing that anybody would do it. I mean, the whole thing's just a horror show from the beginning to the
I
end.
agree. And the last thing I have, buildings and ground, is requesting to replace CD5, which is a small 1-ton dump truck. It's a 4-door truck. I don't know why they got a 4-door truck. Very hard to maneuver in between the stones and monuments. Cemetery truck. Has several breakdowns, starting to develop a lot of rot. We're patching it now to keep the inspections going through. This price of $112,8265. This is called a hook body. A lot of towns are going to them. It's like you're getting 2 trucks for the price of 1. So you drop your dump body and if you can pick up a leaf box and use the same truck. A lot of municipalities are using them in this size truck versus even in the big trucks. Because you get more bang for your buck than having 1 truck. So this would give them a legit nice leaf box for fall cleanup or chipping. And the dump body, they can pull up and hook on and use for digging graves and moving dirt. And
That hook body for a quick description, that would be comparable to like a roll-off dumpster type arrangement. Similar.
they make 2 types. One's actually just a solid hook, and they make the cable type as well. This would be a solid hook.
It's a shame that a 10-year-old vehicle is starting to reach its end of life, but
They had a
It's
hard
a-
life.
if it's at a hard life and it's being used.
It's only in the cemeteries.
No, that helps plowing with the other town
No,
vehicles.
but it doesn't like. How many miles do you put on it a year?
Oh, that blew up
On
there.
that. Yeah. Okay.
No other questions. I believe that's all I got for it. Oh, no, I don't. I listened to several things from last year, paving of the parking lots. Instead of reaching out and get new quotes, wasting everybody's time, I just added on 6%. But that's what was happening anyway. I just wanted to show this ongoing. Paving the parking lot here in 2 phases, the fire departments, DPW. Ongoing.
Nice to see the look ahead and the previews of coming attractions, where we are, what we're still trying to get done, and a nice consolidated package. Thank you for that. Is the 6% a workable figure? Do you think?
That's what it went up, because the oil went up this
Yep.
year.
Yep.
It wouldn't be chapter 90 work. It would be private contracting work, so we don't get the same price as chapter 90 price.
Just asking, so if we plan and project for that. We don't have to come in with a change order and rewrite the overall bid proposal.
Well, for the worst one that's gonna feel big time is right out here coming up this hill. It's starting to open up and break up. And it's, once the water gets under there, it's just gonna be a mud pit trying to get through there, it'll end up being closed down, coming in off of Conti. That's why I suggested, at least get that first phase done, pull up all the old asphalt, regrade with a nice base coat. In the following year, pave the whole entire parking lot.
It makes sense.
We have the money.
Yes.
Looks too good.
Some of the things we've alluded to, and ARPA seems to remain quite the moving target. What we hear today is potential use. We hear a week from now, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
Tracking that through with the MMA and watching some of the other things, it's amazing because the one liaison, National League of Cities, is the direct link over to the Treasury Department, and even she's having a difficult time. I'll gladly share the 380 plus pages of documentation on it. I guarantee it'll put you to sleep on those nights when you just can't fall
I
asleep.
could have brought a lot more, but I figured I'd go easy this year.
Did the second floor in the kitchen, that's still,
That's
that didn't get done last year.
People got roads they can't drive down, you know, I don't think they'd be really thrilled to have some of this other stuff done.
It's two different monies.
Yeah, well, it all comes out of one pocket, theirs.
Yeah, but we'll never thrill everybody,
No,
unfortunately.
Do the best you can with what you got.
that's right.
Well, looking further down, you have one here flagged as 1 Elm Street. What building is that we're talking?
That's the emergency management building that was over $400,000. We gave you more of a breakdown on a couple of years ago from the architect.
Fall under community preservation because of the historic on that building.
I believe so, some of it.
I believe it is
I know it's
a
a
potential for a split.
Yeah.
The first thing in there, to me, I
Is that
mean,
the old fire station?
Yes.
Yes.
What are we gonna do when it washes away again?
let it go.
Oh, yeah, right, we're dumping all kinds of money into this thing. Look at the pictures from 1938, the whole front corner washed away.
Oh, it
Well,
could
It
happen
just
again.
doesn't make sense.
I'm sure they'd love to build a new building, but that would be in the 15 million range, so 10 million range, so.
Easily.
So
Like you
it's
said
a
earlier,
trade-off of
I mean,
something.
I wasn't here, but they should have had one big building where
That's right.
actually the DPW is, have emergency management, police and fire. And the highway could have moved somewhere else, centrally located.
Police
You could probably
station,
cut back on
we
a couple
dumped
of
all
fire
kinds of money
trucks.
in that, we just don't plan anything, it's just amazing,
Sad.
just amazing. Well, whatever.
Anything further, Mr. Zozak?
No, get that stuff ordered up and I'll be good.
All right. Pigs fly.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, so next up is water, Mr. Driscoll. Yes. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Can you hear him?
Can you hear just?
Can you get you on?
It should be picking you up.
I did not hear him talking.
Okay.
Oh,
all right.
He
Give me a
needs to
second.
be at the microphone.
Yeah, okay.
Was that?
Oh,
I'm already up. The hard part's done.
Okay.
Yeah, hard part's done.
Maybe just push those chairs forward.
Sit here.
We'll start with, the Main Street Bridge. I can find it. Yeah, just because probably everyone's a little bit familiar with it anyway. And like Bob was saying, this project we're working together on, because we have a water main kind of lashed to the side of, the structure on, along one of the sidewalks. Or where a sidewalk should be, I can't remember. We'll need to move the water main as part of that. Tie-in bonds, is a consulting firm that we've been using for quite a while. I believe the town just agreed to use them to do the engineering for this bridge. Their suggestion is to bring the water main way away from it and actually go under the riverbed, which is pretty deep. At first, I thought the idea was a little crazy, but what it does is any bridge problems in the future, first thing it does, gets the water main away from the trouble again. So if something does happen with the bridge again, and I'm talking like 30, 40, 50 years, it's kind of long term. The water main is kind of off on its own, so it's not affected because that's a critical location for the water. We've got the paper mills right there. Paper mills is a big water customer. They need water for their process to keep going.
So you're talking about Notter River,
Yes.
Maple Street, Baldwinville?
No,
No,
it's
Main
the Main
Street
Street Bridge packet. Sorry.
Okay,
It actually has both Main Street and then it says Maple Street.
yeah. Well, that's Main Street Bridge, I think he's talking about this one.
Yeah. This is one where the existing bridge basically failed removed.
It's Main Street, Maple Street, Baldwinville, it's not the location.
Great.
That's a different project.
Yeah, that's what I thought, so the other is over here,
Okay.
Lake Church, wrong pew.
So sometimes the form doesn't transition all the stuff when you go Form A, Form B, Form C.
Well, that's my fault because I probably did the water main first on Maple Street. And then I did the Old Royston Road Culvert, which to me, in my mind, is Maple Street. I don't know what Old Royston Road is. So by the time I get the third one, I probably just forgot to change that cell to Otter River, but you're right. It's Otter River. Up Baldwinville.
I'm getting old, but I ain't that old. All right. So that's the same thing with the opera stuff. Maybe that will cover a lot of this.
Adam's looking into that.
Bail us out. That would be a big bailout.
Yeah, even to get partial, would be, well, we'll take anything at this point, anything we have to do with Adam to cooperate to push that forward, we'll certainly.
But you're
appreciate
right, to move that water main and get it out of the way, so no matter what happens, it isn't gonna get ruined. If, we have another problem, a big problem.
Yeah.
There's a flood factor, it's a map, and it shows the level of water because of climate change is projected. And all these areas were underwater years ago. It's going to be worse the next time around, and it'll happen more sooner than later. We've been lucky. So any changes we make, we better plan ahead, even with the pumping station. Makes no sense to put it somewhere where it's going to get destroyed if it's brand new. Yeah. So that would be quite the project. We'll put it under the river.
So I thought, but it's quarter time bond, it's pretty common.
Yeah, well, see, they do stuff we don't do.
Price tag's 550,000. Like everything else with them over the years, I'm unfortunately, there's no sticker shock anymore when I get these prices back. I cannot believe how expensive some of this is. And I get that it's a bridge, it's going over a waterway, that right there. When you're dealing with a waterway, you're dealing with wildlife and stuff that lives there, it migrates and everything. So I understand how it's more expensive. No doubt pushing it over however many feet and installing it under the riverbed doesn't sound cheap either.
Yeah,
So,
but at least it would be relatively safe no matter what happened.
oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it would be a ductile line. It is, the existing main is also an AC main. It's asbestos line cement main, which about 65% of our system is. So for that, whatever stretch that would end up being, probably 500 feet total of new water main will at least be ductile iron. So what we've decreased our chances of a water main to almost 0% by doing that, which is great. Ductile iron's pretty much invincible for the type of problems we experience, whether it's water hammers or just some of the groundwater in areas in town is relatively acidic. That doesn't help with the AC pipe either, but ductile iron can sit there, it's probably sit there for centuries.
Yeah, so that's, makes more sense.
And we want to do it in conjunction with the bridge when it's necessary, but there might be some parts we want to do before, maybe after, so we're not kind of like getting in the way.
But if you can get the money, if you can get the money out of ARPA, if you have to do it all just to get funding, good God, don't wait. Because it's something that's been pending. And you can justify it by all the trucks that use it, fire department, all those things, you know? Because God only knows if we have to pay for that, unless our ship comes in with a big Amazon plant or something, it's not gonna be easy.
So like I said, the existing bridge was constructed circa 1939. I think Bob mentioned that, but the water main was installed in the early 50s, near as we can tell. I think that's when the water department kind of got rolling here, was late as near as we can tell in the early 50s. So not only has the bridge obviously reached its useful life, but the water main has too, especially made out of that material. So it's a good project for a number of reasons. It's expensive, but
It
it's
ain't
not
gonna get any cheaper.
going to get any cheaper. So
Sure does.
and it's part of as far as on the financing, it's obviously that we're an enterprise fund. It's not going to hit taxes, obviously, or anything like that. This would be part of what we're proposing as a $2.2 million general obligation bond, a new bond we take out. The remainder of that 2.2 would go to the other two projects in here. I'll do the culvert first. It says Maple Street Culvert. When Ty and Bond took over, designed this project for us, they started calling it Old Royalston Road.
It is down there.
Yeah, so apparently that's,
The Army Corps lands called Old Royalston, excuse me, Old Royalston Road.
yeah, apparently Maple Street stops at that yellow gate that blocks, and I guess Old
By the
Royalston.
ball
Road.
field?
Yeah,
Oh, you're talking about down by Billy's,
Yeah.
Billy's
Bill Harris.
cars, or
Oh, Bill Button.
Those
three pipes.
The old three pipes.
Yeah.
well, in the early 70s, the town put two wells over there, well number one and well number two. Well number one is probably 500 feet or so, maybe 700 feet beyond that gate. The road's in okay condition. It's accessible by truck, by one-ton truck, and obviously on foot. It's accessible if we have to access it for any reason. Well number two is considerably further, probably over 1,000 feet further. And between well number one and well number two is this culvert that's been giving us trouble as long as I've been here. I've been here 13 years in more than one capacity, but it's been giving us trouble for quite some time. The area, or the area is called three pipes, I think because of that culvert has three pipes. Allowing basically if I understand it correctly, the wildlife to flow from one side of the pond to the other. So it's another culvert, another structure involving us, the water main is obviously right there, because the water main goes all the way down that dirt road and connects onto Maple Street. Those two wells, most of the time, are just feeding basically Baldwinville and Water River. So it's in a state of total failure by anyone's judgment. I mean, the pipes in there, the very large pipes have corroded in most areas. If they collapse, it poses a bigger problem for us, because if we can only reach that well number two on foot, it's going to severely limit what we can do. And because those wells are so old, and because of where they are, they get a considerable amount of maintenance. We cannot get by without well number two, even though In reality, it probably runs 10 or 12, only 10 or 12% of the year. If there's a fire, that's a different story. If there's a fire in Baldwinville or parts of Otter River, we need both those pumps on. Otherwise, it's gonna be serious trouble. So that alone makes it a priority. In addition to the water we normally use, that our customers normally use, whatever makes up that 10 or 12% a year, like I said. So it's just a coincidence, the price tag works out to about the same, you know, engineering and design. We're already through the engineering and design process. We're almost ready to go out to bid to do the job. We'd have to be directly involved. That's why I have some of our labor, indirect labor and direct labor expenses down the bottom. That's my best guess. We always have to be involved in a project like that. At some point, Ty and Bond is gonna have to coordinate probably a temporary water main for 50 feet or so to get the water main away from there. I'm not sure yet if it's gonna be a little away from there permanently or go back, but it's gonna have to definitely go away from there during that construction because of the environmental concerns. So that would definitely require
Are
our
those
involvement.
wells gonna be all right if we have increased height in our water in just a wetland area?
I'll say it again, I'm sorry.
Are the wells far enough away from the wetland, so if we do have increased, say we have a flood,
It floods every year.
Floods every year.
it does, so they're still okay?
Yes, we turn them off during the flood season.
Oh, okay.
You'd be doing this as like a one pipe on a culvert versus the old three.
So box culvert they're requiring us to do, that's through Army Corps.
Yeah, I can't remember if it's a double entrance like that one
You know, it's gonna be
in Fitchburg.
8 feet by 8 feet.
So it's one opening?
One
Yeah.
opening.
That seems to be the mass dot standard right now.
Every kid in town knows what three pipes is.
So that's the three pipes portion of the bond we're hoping to do. And then the biggest one would be the Maple Street water main. This is extensive. This is it's a replacement of probably 16 or 1700 feet of water main. It's also AC main replaced with ductile iron. In addition, we'd be replacing most or all of School Street as well. Logistically, it's part of it. You can't, with these projects, you can't make brand new one section and leave another section over here substandard because it's just gonna affect, you know, you gotta fix these kind of things all at once.
Are you gonna wait till after that new project's in, or are you gonna do it before or after?
Looking to do it before.
Yeah, it would be better to do it before. That way they're tapping into it, the line we want them to tap
Yeah.
into.
Yeah,
Yeah, then there's gonna be plans to improve the drainage and repave the roads after.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I sent them the new water main project to the people that are in charge of the Baldwinville School project.
Yeah.
So they have it, but they don't.
Originally, Carter talked about the sale of the school using that monies to pave and improve the drainage after they bought it and the water main was done. So they're using other funding.
The Maple Street wells feed, like I said earlier, most of Baldwin and Otter River. And the problem with a Maple Street water main break in that area, like right in front of Mr. Harris's business, right in that area, I don't know if anyone remembers, we had a pretty bad one back in July of 2012. We had water breaks in 7 areas within like a 6-minute span. And it cost us over $40,000 between materials, paying contractors, labor. I think we had highway and sewer helping us. We had a couple of contractors helping us. It was just chaos trying to manage water main breaks in all the different locations. There was some kind of a water hammer, which is pretty common in water systems in general. But it's with that AC main, you just cannot take that kind of a hit. So we think there was kind of a chain reaction that sent it both ways because we had all of a sudden we had a break on Baldwin Road way up the road that we were just like, how, you know, but that was part of what was driving us. We started getting this project engineer probably 3 or 4 years ago. So this is on our back burner. Everything's fine as long as nothing breaks. That's one of these projects where if there's no water, if the water main's not broken, it's fine. It's fine for everything. It's fine for fire protection. It's fine for customers' water, you know. But it's expensive. It's
the money that Biden was talking about. He's been talking about replacing water mains that were lead, stuff like that. So maybe we could get some funding out of them too,
Well, this,
before you go.
this pipe is at the point where one of these times we go to turn it on, it's just gonna keep breaking.
Yeah,
We've had
well,
14 water breaks there.
Yeah.
So we can't wait. There's gonna be a time, because the only way we can turn the wells off to feed the drinking water to town is to have that main working.
Yeah.
It's,
just the same, I don't think, it doesn't sound like you're gonna have to wait a long time for that kind of stuff to come through.
it's where the pipe is buried in the ground is acidic. And right now, when we go there to fix it, if you're digging with a shovel trying to find it, you can actually take the shovel and go right through the main.
Yeah.
It's a pretty poor condition. To wait another 2 years,
Well, I don't, hopefully you don't have to
It's
wait
not.
2 years, that's what I'm trying to say.
That's the problem. though. ARPA
Yeah.
right now is a moving target. Yeah, we're hearing a lot of, well, we might, no, we need to know what they're gonna
Yeah.
do.
it is, it's like,
Somebody engage so we know how we can engage, but
What we didn't do is get on our representatives and say, listen, we need some answers, figure it out.
One more water main to replace.
yeah, that's it.
Well, you're gonna figure
Yeah.
that stuff was done a long time ago and they used what they had at the time, and
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that it's gonna last forever.
technologies change,
Yes.
construction techniques change. and
Yeah. Yeah.
There comes a point in time when the infrastructure just needs to be upgraded, replaced.
Yeah.
And we're not alone.
No,
If you think back a couple months ago, the city of Gardner, the little mini rotary at 101 and Elm Street there, what a nightmare that was for 3 or 4 days. Lost a lot of water.
Disaster.
That part of it, it's
long, yeah,
like 8 or 9 million gallons lost.
I didn't
until
know
they
what
had that under
happened there,
control.
yeah.
Yeah, it was a huge water main break. Mhm,
No,
It sure
it'd be
was.
Something to keep us busy, that's
I
for
remember
sure.
reading that going, oh my goodness. I can't fathom that.
So that's our three. That's our three projects in a nutshell, and so you see some of the pricing on it, some of the descriptions, so that's what we're working on
So
right now.
where some of this is coming from the enterprise, how, do you have the funds available right now to absorb all of this, a portion of this? Because by our bylaw, by our financial management, this is the first step. It comes here, we look at it, we kind of rack and stack, make a recommendation, it goes off to the town administrator. It'll get presented over to advisory, it'll get put together for the upcoming annual town meeting, and then we present it to the voters on the floor. So this is, just getting all the train cars in the correct order on the track before we can start pulling away from the station.
Yeah, what I did a few months back, actually several months back, took the $2.2 million loan and put it on a 20-year GO bond at a 4.5% interest rate, which at the time seemed reasonable. Now it seems kind of high. And I figured out how much extra money we're going to need in the budget to make payment on another loan. We're already paying off 4 loans. Good news is one of them goes away in about a year and a half. It's a big one. It was a $3.8 million general obligation bond. I can't remember when it started. I can't remember if it's 20 or 30, but I know that it's over in about a year and a half. That's about $250,000 a year that'll be freed up to us, thank God. But we raised the water rates 11% July 1st to handle exclusively these 3 projects.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
No, a lot of money for the homeowners. Our rates are cheap.
And they've never been water.
the water's actually the cheapest utility out there. People are paying $100 or over $100 a month for cable, and a water bill is about $160 per quarter for an average home. It is the cheapest.
Plus, if they don't fix the pipes, you're not getting the water as a homeowner. anyway.
Yeah, you don't have fire protection or drinking water, nothing.
Just gotta do.
Lucky me, I can go back.
That's the process we went through. In other words, so the water, the money we have coming in now is already adequate to handle this proposed loan of ours. In other words, if that's what you're asking.
I was just trying to, frame this and understand where we're going with it, but like I said, I know how the process starts to play out. This is laying the groundwork and foundation, and we have all these other steps that we need to progress along. Very good. Anybody have any further questions or discussion topics? Anything else to add, Mr. Driscoll? So I think I'm good. All right, thank you for that information.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
It's nice to see everyone.
You as well. Be safe, be well.
You too.
Be well. We have wells up there. It was a very dry show. I have water right here to quench it, so we're good.
It's nice to have a few hours.
Well, I see we have CPC on our agenda, but
We do, but they didn't have any
they
requests.
did not have a request. Okay. So moving along, next item, I want to discuss the open meeting law complaint filed by one of our town residents. This was filed, received by the town clerk 21st of November. Or 21, November 8th, 8:47 a.m. Public body, including the town region of government, the Capital Improvement Committee, date of the alleged violation, present. Description of the violation. I want to review the Capital Improvement Committee's meeting minutes from last year and found the committee has only posted one set of minutes since September 29, 2020. 10 individual meetings listed, only one has meeting minutes available. I believe this clearly violates 940 CMR 29.11 brackets 2, which clearly states in brackets 2, minutes of all open executive sessions shall be created and approved in a timely manner. A timely manner generally will be considered to be within the next 3 public body meetings or within 30 days, whichever is later, unless the public body can show good cause for further delay. The Attorney General encourages public bodies to approve meeting minutes at the next meeting whenever possible. Actions proposed and what I'd like to see done: post the meeting minutes according to the regulations. Accountability, training. Signed by the individual 11/5/2021. So a couple things to be said here. Looking at our bylaw, this board gets disbanded, or this committee gets disbanded at the end of every annual town meeting as the town meeting dissolves in the spring. So minutes that we do not yet have done as our process wraps up, kind of sit in a limbo status. You know, how do we approve them if we're not meeting as a body? There's the first set of challenges. 940 CMR, upon investigation, and we have an opine from town council, is not required to be posted online, but we do have an obligation to maintain minutes. Minutes have been available, they are located, and it would be a simple phone call or visit into town hall, and if you feel it necessary, it could be done through a Freedom of Information Act request. It should never have to move to that portion of the step. So the belief that it is clearly violating that portion of the 940 CMR is not entirely accurate. After going through this and reviewing it, I drafted a response, and this did pass muster with council. So this will be signed in momentarily and will be going out through the proper channels, and this will go to the individual and on to the AG's office. So here is what will be done, dated November 18th, 2021. Thank you for your complaint. Capital Improvements Committee met to discuss it, delegated me the authority to respond to your complaint on November 17th, 2021. Committee has possession of minutes from September 29th, 2020, as mentioned in your complaint. However, some are not posted online. We are working to upload those minutes online. A number of them already have been as a byline. I can assure you necessary steps have begun to get them posted. Please note, nothing in the Massachusetts general law requires that they be posted online. There may have been a delay in approvals in accordance with 940 Mass Reg 29.11. As you're aware, by the bylaw, the current year Capital Improvement Committee is formed with members appointed each fall. We operate each fiscal year to review and prepare capital recommendations with a final report submitted by the end of December to January in some cases to the select board. Then this is referring to the committee, is dormant until being dissolved every spring with the close of the annual town meeting. Any questions, further questions, concerns, suggestions, please feel free to reach out to me. My town email is there respectfully, and I'm signing this as the chairman of this committee. And I will be doing that right now. A courtesy copy will be going off to the Office of the Attorney General, 1 Ashburton Place in Boston. During the discussion, one of the comments that I made was, with the backstory and the work to go through all this, there is a lot of time and commitment where other things go on immediate hold because we are required with some pretty strict timelines to get all these done. And anytime we have to get a legal opinion, we're also looking at expending funds on our legal side of the house, which is not always something we like to do.
There's another way to look at it. This day and age, people do things online.
Mhm.
If someone wants information, they ought to be able to find it. So maybe they need to change the law so things are posted online.
That's a very strong possibility.
We should dissolve the committee after all our work is done and everything is complete and posted. Then dissolve it. Don't dissolve it and not have your paperwork finished or your minutes finished. I think for most boards, they come and they volunteer to do a job and they don't have complete idea of exactly what they're supposed to do. So on one hand, I really understand what he's trying to say. You shouldn't have to file an open meeting law or come poke through a bunch of forms to find public information. It should be presented. Maybe they need to bring the law up to date with where we live today.
Who is they?
They, whomever makes the rules, the regulations,
It's a code of
state.
Massachusetts regulation.
well, they need,
So,
then that needs to be changed,
okay.
Because if somebody wants to look up the minutes to a meeting, they ought to be able to find them online. Now, we have someone here that will do that. And it's helped the other committees because a lot of the committee members are not technically with all the new stuff.
The positive thing now is, especially these last few years with TCTV doing it,
Yeah.
it is available to everybody if you really want to get
But if you
technical.
want to go back and
You
look
can go
at
back online and
something.
look for something and
Yeah,
Google that meeting and everybody can watch it. So it actually is
Well,
something that,
so it's.
we've
splitting-
started doing
it's
every
splitting
day,
hairs,
every
you know,
meeting.
But at least
But-
things will improve in the future.
right, but information wise, at least it's there if they so choose to Google it and
How
go out there and
far,
look.
Stephen, how far back do meetings go online on
On YouTube?
Yeah.
2018.
well, that's a start. Yeah, because it's the same thing. I don't think people should have to bring a lawyer with them to town meeting to figure out what's going on. They should be able to understand what's in front of them. If they want information, they should be able to find it. That's just my opinion.
Oh, you bring up a valid point. The reason and the way I drafted this response, I'm currently seated as the chair of our capital
Fine,
improvements committee.
That's your opinion.
This complaint came in on my watch. I'm dealing with it. I've dealt with it.
Fine.
To your point on, should we change the state law? That is being addressed, but as we know, things at the state level move at a very slow motion. Open meeting laws are being revised up to and including the digital recordings and how do we access them. But as it stands today, under the CMR, we are not obligated to post a digital copy of this anywhere. We do have the hard copies.
Okay.
So the allegation, I understand the intent, but it was not entirely as transparent as I think the author intended for it to be.
Could be.
But this was the quickest, most effective resolution. And
That's
like I said,
all we wanted was a
it
resolution.
came to our committee, we own it, I've taken action on it, and
Fine.
we're doing our darndest to keep these from recurring.
Mhm.
And I do know Justice and Holly have been diligently working to get them posted up to the mytown.gov and on the town's website. So quite a few of these are now available
Well,
as in comparison to 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
So kudos to the team.
Mr. Chair, so I remember when I was on the NRSD school committee that we had to motion that we accept your response and that we make you the authority and that we said that we agree with the response for an open meeting law complaint. Is that something that we would like to do just to make sure that that's make a motion to say that we designate the chair to write the response and that we approve the response as presented and that somebody seconds it and we just approve of it as a committee. So we just handle this.
Matter of procedure.
Yeah, just a minute.
Absolutely.
Go ahead and make it justice.
Okay. I move to appoint Timothy Toth to respond to the open meeting law complaint filed on 11/8/2021 by Robert May, and to allow his response to be submitted to the Attorney General's office and to Mr. May as presented.
Any further discussion? Call for a roll call. Great.
Yes,
Ms. Bartolome,
You say when you don't want to vote.
you say
abstain or no?
Abstain, I couldn't remember the word, abstain.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Yes.
So-
Thank you.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you, Justice, for making sure we were following procedure.
I think all ladies and then bring.
So, yes, it is an unfortunate circumstance. We will pay closer attention. Bev, I like your thoughts and idea. We may need to change our bylaw to dissolve this committee.
It would make
Between-
sense.
between
Doesn't
our
make any
final
sense to
report-
Leave something hanging out there.
Yep.
Not finished. You know?
And anything that
One
we,
meeting after the fact.
Yeah.
The only problem with that is when you have a meeting to vote on the minutes, you have to have
generate-
minutes from that meeting
Yeah,
too.
you generate a
So
set
at
of
some
meeting
point,
minutes.
maybe we could just post the draft minutes for the last meeting and then approve them when the next one starts.
According to procedure in Massachusetts, couldn't that be done at town meeting? Because wouldn't that be the annual town meeting? Is that a method that we could do?
They can dissolve it and then you don't have to have a last.
Right.
Yeah, that would make sense.
which I believe was the intent of our
I
existing
think
bylaw.
we do that, yeah. I think it's.
Years ago, when they used to do things the right way. They have procedures that they used to follow years ago. And they would do that. There would be special committees that they dissolve at town meeting. You know, to look for an administrator or do something like that.
Well, it would be to dissolve and then to accept that last set of meeting minutes, that you don't generate anything else.
Sounds like a
Correct.
plan.
They used to do an
It's like
article that
walking
dissolved
out
a
of
number
the-
of committees.
Off the cement without leaving tracks. You know, it's like-
And we just recently did that at the fall town meeting. We dissolved a few of the
Yeah.
defunct and stagnant committees that were just serving no purpose. Housekeeping right away.
Everyone says that.
When's our next meeting?
It's gonna become.
December 1st.
So much for that.
December 1st, did I hear?
We've got no more departments coming in, correct?
Correct.
That'll be a review with us
Mhm.
ourselves to. Is Adam gonna have a number by then? So we know what we're looking at.
He wasn't sure if he would have it by then. Do you know, Tim? We were just
I
talking about.
I don't know, because I remember at this time last year, a lot of the things were accepted, put forward, but then the state came in with different sets of numbers after the fact.
Does it make a lot of sense to have the meeting to make our decisions before we have numbers? Or is that kind of,
I
We're
think
just sitting here
we
talking to
should
ourselves about
have
nothing.
numbers before we have a meeting,
I think so too, because
because we shouldn't have had a town meeting without the numbers.
I'm just concerned that we're gonna
Listen, I'm-
rate projects and waste our time. Not that
Right.
I don't want to come visit with you guys, but
Yeah, but you just can't do that.
if you don't know what we're
if you
putting
don't know what
forward,
the
because that may
hell
make a
is
difference on which projects we put forward.
Yeah.
Right.
That is true.
I'll check with Adam on the date. He'll have the numbers by. And get back to you.
I know he's got certain timelines he wants to keep to, but I think we kind of have to keep to our own timeline on what we can
There's
put
a
forward.
lot that can happen between now and May,
Yes. there is.
as far as funds, reserve funds, the funds that the highway's gonna need, depending on snow and ice and all that.
Well, not only that, you also got projects in here that have been presented to us that have alternate funding sources that we,
Might come through.
if they're gonna come through, say, the SCBA's, well, we don't need to recommend that forward possibly if it's being paid for.
They better look for some of
Aqua
those
ways
other
on
funding.
different-
They better look for some
I
of
think,
those.
I think
other
all the
funding
department heads did really
sources.
well on giving some alternate sources
Yeah.
on a lot of these
Yeah.
forms, so I think if we
Because
able to see,
I
okay,
don't see
we
where
got some
there's gonna
alternate
be a lot
sources.
of free cash for capital. I really don't. I really don't.
Wait, Holly, you said you check with Adam and,
Yeah, I will and get back to everyone.
Yep, and I know we got a short work week next week with the holiday, so that compresses our timeline on getting an agenda out.
Okay,
So if we need to adjust that one December date,
even if we put an agenda out, we could technically still, you could cancel if you didn't have a number.
cancel and then.
If we have to.
Yeah.
Just to get the agenda would be basic, probably, it's just gonna be discussed, presented projects, really,
Yeah, for the most part,
you know.
yes.
so- I'll make a motion to adjourn.
second. So
Motion
moved,
on the
whatever.
floor and seconded to adjourn. Any discussions?
Quiet,
Hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
quiet.
Mr. Graves,
Yes.
Ms. Bartola.
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
I knew you were gonna
Ms.
say
Richardson.
stay, stay.
and I vote yes as well. It's unanimous. We will